Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We are joined by the beautiful Lynda Thornton Hunt today again. She's the owner of Your Inside Story. So yeah, she's also an author. She's a therapeutic counselor, international broadcaster. I mean, the list goes on and on. This woman wears many hats, and I'm so excited that I get the pleasure of interviewing her today. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much, Jill. I hope you are too.
I am. Thank you so much. So please, for new listeners today, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm a therapeutic counselor. I specialize in trauma, usually starting in childhood. And I've been working and studying for 22 years. I have a degree in psychology and counseling and a master's degree in trauma. And I've been in private practice for 13, 14 years.
Wow.
And it's through my work and my life experience, because it took me 40 years to find a therapist to help me. So when I eventually found somebody that made the miracle of my life as it is now, I was determined to give back. So I see this as my purpose. Sounds a bit woo-woo, but it's true. So I try and give back to people what I've been lucky enough to be given myself.
Wonderful. Well, yeah, I mean, I was reading on your website, which I want everyone to go to, yourinsidestory.co.uk. And you say we all can create a better life for ourselves and for all those that we meet on our life's path. And a lot of us struggle throughout our lives. And you mentioned whether it's a relationship or it could be an inner struggle. Maybe you just want to feel more confident. But why not feel better and take the steps to make the change? That's the one thing COVID taught me, Lynda. It was horrific in so many ways, but it was great in so many ways because it finally made people realize life is precious, life is valuable. Let's go for it and live our lives to the fullest. And I got goosebumps thinking about this. You know, we've all had struggles but we don't know how to get out of them alone sometimes. That's why you come in as our expert and we're so glad to have you. By the way, where do you live in the United Kingdom?
I live in a place called Henley-on-Thames, which is quite famous for international rowing. So we have a lot of your American boys and girls over here during the summer rowing.
Wonderful.
So very pretty.
And you're working with clients, though, all over the world. So it doesn't matter where you are, Lynda can help you. And by the way, I just have to ask, because being a broadcaster myself, could you tell me a little about your past, your background, and what brought you here? And then we'll get into specifics about all the different therapies and the ways and the counseling you can help our children and our adults.
Oh, that's a big question. Okay, I'll do my best. I get into the business I'm in, the profession I'm in?
Yes, and then broadcasting too. So it intrigued me.
Well, it's all sort of happened. You know, sometimes things are meant to happen and they seem to happen organically, don't they?
Yeah.
So, although one is on your path or your life's path and you hope it's the right one, very often life takes you where you're meant to go. And so, from searching for somebody to help me for 40 years, eventually finding someone and having this enormous breakthrough and being helped to the extent that I became whole and contented, which is something I never understood before. And it made such a revolutionary change in my life that I started to give back and do this work. So it has happened organically.
Wow.
I have been just one thing on top of the other. I think when your intentions, sorry if this sounds a bit woo-woo, but I'm being true to myself. I think if you come into a thing from purity of will, desire,
Mm-hmm.
these things kind of happen organically to
Yeah.
you. Like
Yeah.
I've just come back from Costa Rica where I was out there finalizing and adapting my book ready to go on sale.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is something I never ever thought I would
Mm-hmm.
ever do in my life. But
Wow.
uh, that's how it's happened through genuinely discovering I had, if somebody could do this for me and alter my life for the better, then I can do it for somebody else. And who else can I do it for, perhaps in an extended, different way? Does
Beautiful.
that
And
make sense?
yes, it does.
I
It
hope so.
does. And here you are helping so many people. You mentioned children to through adults and their trauma. So stress, anxiety disorders, work-related stress, you mentioned, fears, phobias, social phobias, sleep disorders, eating disorders, weight problems, binge eating, health issues. You know, you work with
Yeah.
a lot of people. And do you want to share, even post-traumatic stress? What in particular do you want to share with your audience today about the work you're doing and, of course, the people you can help?
In my experience, most of our difficulties and learning opportunities, let's call them that, because life isn't meant to be, I don't believe it is, just a complete merry-go-round the whole time. We are here to learn, and of course, we get challenged because that's what life is, isn't it? No sooner than we think we've made it, then something happens, and we're, oh my gosh, I need to go back to the start and figure this out. So we're presented with these problems in our lives all the time. And in childhood, we have experiences that stay with us throughout life. And because all of us are learning and we are all a product of our childhood, and that includes our parents. So this sort of work isn't about vilifying a parent, it's about understanding where they come from. So as we grow up, we sometimes have issues that we're not sure where they came from, but we have these issues that hold us back in life, that distort our self-image of of the person we truly are, to an extent that it can be, I don't like me, I hate me. I've had clients say to me, or like a client yesterday, which is quite normal, saying, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
who I am. So my job, if you like, is to put my client back in a place, lead them to a place of understanding who they are, accepting who they are for what they are, and being the best person they can be, and to enjoy the life they're living, not just existing.
Ah, beautifully said. Really,
Oh,
thank you, Linda. Let me ask you, could you share a client experience or two, not using names, but some of the things that
no,
you're
obviously.
working on that maybe, our listeners can empathize with?
Yes, okay. Just picking one out of random because it's popped into my head.
Sure.
And I was talking about this to a client yesterday, labeling. How often we are labeled by siblings or parents or
Society,
in,
strangers, everyone. Yep.
yes, in our childhoods. And this particular client was taken to a psychiatrist when she was 3. She's the middle child, a very good looking family. She's been on the stage, so she's an extrovert. And what was happening was, to get attention, from her parents and her mother in particular, from the older child and the young baby, she would kick up. And it was so misunderstood that she was taken to a psychiatrist and diagnosed with bipolar and all sorts of things. And as she was getting older, from that point on, she was always called the mad one in the family from her siblings, because siblings can be quite cruel. And as children, we can't differentiate between what's truth and what isn't, because we believe what we're told, especially from our parents. And it may not be meant in any derogatory way, but unfortunately has a derogatory outcome. So she was always told she was the mad one, and that she's just like Auntie Beth, who went into an asylum and had a breakdown and things. So she lived with this huge fear for the majority of her younger life when she came to see me. And we worked together. And one of the things I said to her was that I don't like labeling, because so often we live up to our label or live down to them. And actually, we grow out of behavior patterns and grow as human beings. And to have that tag for the rest of your life is extremely damaging. So that's just one little example. She did, in fact, turn round to her parents and her siblings and said, right, I never want to hear this from you again. You never call me this anymore. You have labeled me and it's not true. And put her foot down, which was
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. So that
Wow.
stopped. So that's just a little
Wow.
tale that came into my
That's
to
a
my
great
head
tale.
suddenly.
That's a beautiful tale. It really is. Thank you. And Lynda, let's remind our listeners and viewers here how we can reach out to you. We're about halfway through the show. Would you mind reminding us the best forms of contact?
If you go onto my website, Your Inside Story at .co.uk, it'll come up with Your Inside Story, Lynda Thornton Hunt. And on there, you can read about me, you can read about the way I work, and you can read about my new interactive workbook that I have
I,
produced.
I was going to ask you about that. I know because my first time speaking with you today, I know you're also an author. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that?
No, I don't mind at all. I'm extremely proud of
Excited
it.
and proud,
This,
as you should be. There it is.
yeah,
I saw that on the website.
there's my
Beautiful.
book, and it's 134 pages. It's set into 10 sectors, and it's 10 sessions with me. And it's about how I work, about tools to help regulate emotions. It's about finding out who you are. It's about challenging your beliefs and whether they're true or not. And it's meant to be done one chapter a week. And it's to be used as a journal. It's a journal for life that you can go back to. And it happened organically by working with clients through the years. When inspiration came, or what I thought was, well, that's good, I like that, I would jot it on a post-it note and put it at the back of my diary. And gradually, this lump at the back of my diary grew so much, I decided to take them out and divide them into subjects and sectors, which became 10 sectors, which then became my chapters. And it's about finding yourself. It's about finding out the true person you are. It's about discovering self. It's a very, very exciting journey.
Well, congratulations on that. And really, if someone wants to purchase that, how do we do that? Go to on the website. It's available.
Yes, there's a sector there. If you push the button, it's about the book, so it tells you all about how it was constructed, what it and all about the book, and it's like having a £1,000 worth of therapy condensed into a book,
Wow.
which obviously is a lot cheaper. It's only £35.
Yeah.
And so you can take yourself through the the sessions that I would give you if you were in front of me.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, Linda, what else did you have in mind for your audience today about the work you're doing and, of course, the people you could help?
Well, one of the ladies who organizes these sessions and things said to me, "What are you going to talk about on your 10 sessions, Lynda?" And I said, "Oh, well, I'm used to working online anyway, so it's much easier perhaps for me than it may be somebody else who
Mm-hmm.
isn't." And also, um, I decided to use little snippets from my book to use as inspiration for my talks because I have 10 sessions, and therefore I thought linking them as I would, if you like, that you were in therapy with me, the listener was in therapy with me, there would always be a link, a lead, a progression, a line of thought, a line of development. And so um, I would do that. So as I start with all my clients, Jill, I would say to anybody who's listening, what are your goals? What do you want? Because I work to my clients' goals, not my goals, to exactly what they want to get out of therapy. So when they've come through their sessions with me, they can say, well, I wanted, say, more confidence. So my question then would be, well, what does it look like, this more confidence? Uh, uh, what are you doing differently? So it would be, what are your 4 goals that you would like to improve on? What sectors of your life would you like to improve on? And of course, that's the first chapter of my book, and the development of that, and the and the thought processing behind it. And there's lots of case studies and examples and life tools that we're not taught at school, unfortunately, but really, really helpful life tools.
Time management is number one for me. I have such serious trouble. No, I have a 6 and 8 year old. I'm a single mother, live alone.
Oh
My
gosh.
house is full of stuff and I don't have time to clean it. I mean, I clean, no, I'm a clean freak. I clean it, but there's piles of stuff that have to be donated, given away. I can't get enough time in my life. That's one of my biggest problems. Just in
Nibble,
case you wanted
nibble.
to know.
Jill,
Yes.
nibble, nibble. One little bit at a time.
Okay.
That's what you do.
So baby steps.
One
It's a
pile. Yeah.
one pile a
Oh,
day.
yes. Just, oh, well, I'll drop that into charity shop today
Okay.
and not worry about the others. Just nibble, nibble. Because sometimes the big picture is so overwhelming, isn't
It
it?
is. It really
Yeah.
is. Do you help
Yes.
people with time management like myself? Is that something that people have an issue with?
If it's an issue for them,
Yeah.
definitely,
Okay.
because it causes a huge amount of stress
Mm-hmm.
and pressure.
Does.
So yes, it's definitely something I help people with. Yes.
And what about past traumas? A lot of us are the way we are from something happened when we were younger, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think we're all kind of products of our childhood in a sense. And
Mm-hmm.
past traumas is something that you work on too, right?
Yeah, definitely. So um now PTSD, which is my main skill,
Okay.
although it envelops lots of things, other things. But um, PTSD and trauma doesn't just happen as in the UK, especially. I don't know so much about Europe. I think Europe and the UK are pretty much the same. You Americans are quite forward in this. My tutor was an American, and I was very lucky to find her because she instigated my healing.
Aw.
So, um, in childhood, it's not just to threaten a loss of life or an incident that happens
Yep.
that maybe that you might die, a car crash or something that can cause PTSD type 1. But a lot of PTSD, which isn't diagnosed as that, is the continual trauma. Say your parents, which unfortunately isn't very rare now, are getting divorced, and you're a child of 4, for instance. I'm just throwing numbers here, and your parents are rowing a lot, and the atmosphere is strife, and your mummy gets upset and your daddy shouts, and they're living their own life, but that has a huge effect on a child. It will create an overwhelming feeling of not being safe. It will create an overwhelming feeling of having to keep in with mummy, otherwise something might happen. It's like walking on broken glass. And there's chemical reactions in the brain that are caused through this continual stress. And so it 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 grows into a problem like PTSD, which will then cause problems throughout your childhood and your adult life.
Ah, but
There
they
will be
can be healed
symptoms.
with someone like yourself that could guide you through it.
Yes, but trauma therapy is a very specialized subject.
Yeah.
It's not like a normal therapy. Sorry to say this, but it's true. It's a very specialized subject, which is why it's so fascinating, because I was diagnosed with PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, and I knew there was something wrong, but for 40 years I never found anyone who was able to diagnose me. So, and even would know what to do if they had. So I was extremely lucky to have my American tutor.
Got it. Well, beautiful.
So yeah, so it's, yes, absolutely.
Well,
So it's
Lynda
through that.
Thornton Hunt, by the way, you have, is there certain like packages that you offer? Is to work with you, does it take a certain amount of time normally to work? Is it 3 months, 6 months, or is it different for everyone?
It's different for everybody.
Okay.
And I give things to practice, life lessons, little skills and tools for people to practice, which then helps them to regulate their emotions. And so a lot would depend on
Yep.
how much practice my client does as to how quickly they get better. Because I say to them, get all your money's worth from therapy because it's not cheap. You must do what I say to get
Yep.
better quickly so that you're not wasting a penny. You're not wasting a penny of your money and your investment in yourself.
Yep.
So a bit like my book, if you like. You can skim through it and not do the work. You might learn a bit, yes, okay. But if you did one section a week
You
and did it
could really get through it.
properly,
Yep.
oh my gosh, it will make a huge difference, yes.
Beautiful. Well, let's remind everyone, Lynda, how they can reach out to you. Do you offer an initial consultation?
If you want live sessions with me,
Mm-hmm.
what we do is we set up a just like this face-to-face session, and we talk about what is happening,
Okay.
what's brought you to me, but what help you want, what your goals are first, what are your goals, and so that you know when your therapy is worthwhile,
Got it.
because you will know what you
Yeah.
wanted. You can't get somewhere if you don't know where you're going.
So true.
So that's how I work. So
Okay.
either contact me for face-to-face sessions,
Perfect.
or contact me and even face-to-face sessions, and we can
Okay.
work through the book together. There's
Beautiful. Good
many
idea.
ways of doing this. Yes.
Right. And remind us how we can
Yeah.
reach out to you before we go.
Go on to Your Inside Story,
Yay.
and it should come up with Lynda Thornton, like the chocolates. Do you have Thornton
Yes,
chocolates
we
there?
do. Yes, we do.
Yeah, okay. So I always say Lynda Thornton, as in chocolates,
Love it.
-hunt, and you will find me there, and all the information about me, how to get in touch,
Beautiful.
information about the book, and how to buy it.
Well, thank you again. Pleasure getting to know you today. Hopefully, we'll have you back here soon or whatever studio you're in. Thanks so much, sweetheart. You have a fantastic day. To all of our listeners, stay tuned. More of the show's on the way.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.